That's exciting. So let's talk about Man of Action. You had mentioned that earlier, the company you have with Duncan Rouleau, Joe Casey, Joe Kelly. How did that come to be?
We were all comic book creators. We worked on the X-Men at the same time. So Joe Kelly wrote adjectiveless X-Men. I wrote Uncanny X-Men. Joe Casey was on Cable, I think, and Duncan was drawing. I always say X-Force, but I mean X-Factor, or I say X-Factor, but I mean X-Force. So one of those two books he was drawing. So we would go to these summits, these story summits that they had at basically the X-Men mansion in New York, out in Westchester somewhere. And it was cool. Like had a bowling alley, and it looked like the place where the X-Men were. And you'd go there and you'd have these big story breaks. And so we were all kind of there talking story. And I wanted to hate Joe Kelly so much because he was so young and I had worked for like 15 years and I finally got on the X-Men. And then he graduates from NYU and his first job is the X-Men. I'm like, you deserve to be punished. And then he was super nice, like the sweetest, nicest person you could imagine. I was like, I hate you more because I like you. And I really got along with him very well. It was easy to make up stories with him. Joe Casey is very difficult, but easy to make up stories with. He wants to be difficult. He's a maverick. But we all got along really well. And Duncan is an idea factory, and he can draw like nobody's business. And so everybody there was kind of nice, but those three guys in particular, I was just like, we work really well together. We're saying the same kind of things the same kind of ways, or different things the same kind of ways. So we were kind of aware of it there. Over time, we all left the X-Men, and everybody went to Superman except me. I was the last guy to go at the very, very end. And even there, it was a difficult place to work, difficult time. Superman movie had fallen apart, but we were still kind of vibing on ideas really easily. And I think it was Joe Kelly just said, we should be making stuff up together, but not for these guys. And we're like, sounds like a good idea. What would we do? And we had no idea. We'll just make stuff up. So we started going to San Diego. We got a Man of Action booth. We would just sit there and people would walk up and go, what do you guys do? And we're like, we're writers. And the first year we did it, somebody's like, do you write short films? And we're like, you bet. And we didn't, but we said that. And so then they hired us to write these short films. We wrote 4 of them. Next year, somebody's like, do you guys do video games? We're like, yes. Meaning we play them, but they meant do we write them. So they hired us to write a video game. We did that. X-Men Legends came out that year. And then the next year, Matt Senreich from Robot Chicken came over and he's like, guys, Cartoon Network wants like a boys action superhero cartoon. We don't really do that, but you guys do that, right? And we're like, yes, even though we didn't do that. And so we pitched Cartoon Network a bunch of stuff, and one of them was Ben 10, which they bought, and suddenly we were Man of Action, and we do boys action cartoons.
And so, explain to me a little bit more about like the growth of Ben 10. How did it come? Did you go into Cartoon Network and just say, "Here's Ben 10," or
They had a brief. So Sam Register, who was the exec, and Tram Wexel, who's still there, and is still an exec that we work with a lot, said they wanted Fantastic Four for young boys. And all 4 Man of Action guys were very different creatively. Like, we don't have the same taste. We don't like the same stuff. But all 4 of us immediately said, no boy wants the Fantastic Four show. You've not, you say you want that, but that's not what you want. They're like, bah, 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 bah. So we said, give us a couple of weeks. We'll come back in with what you want instead of what you're saying. And we just sat in Duncan's office for weeks, and we made up a bunch of stuff. And when we went back in, we pitched Sam and Tram 20 shows in 20 minutes. Had a stopwatch. We had sheets of paper where we'd written these briefs. We really developed this stuff. Like, we spent a lot of time, did a lot of detail work, but we just pruned it down. And we said, every 60 seconds, we're going to pitch you a different show. And then we're just going to move along. You'll know when you hear it. And we did the first one, 60 seconds in, it wasn't even done, rang the bell, moved on to the next one. And each guy just had 5, and we just ding, 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 ding. And it started to get this weird kinetic energy. It was dumb, but it was fun. Because just like you'd hear a little bit of something, and then that'd be it. No more for you. And we'd move on to the next one. And the 8th thing we did was Ben 10. And Sam was just like, stop, that's it. We'll take it. And we're like, we have 12 more things. He's like, no, I don't need them. That's the show. And we're like, we're doing the other 12 things. So we spent 2 or 2.5 weeks making this stuff up. So we did the rest of them. He goes, no, it's that Ben 10 thing. And they bought it in the room, and that was that.